Okay, I think it somehow interrupted the stream. Okay, we're live again now, so we have to rewind. I'm sorry, Christoph. A community member just texted it interrupted the stream, so please rewind. And I think we jump in again. So, Christoph, you attending this year the DEF CON in Bogota, the developers conference, not as a speaker but as an attendee. How would you describe being there? Undercover. Benson is there. You dropped another name from the Chainlink, from the Ethereum Foundation. Chainlink Foundation. And how is it to be there without speaking and just like mingling with the crowd? And how is the overall awareness of decentralized insurance? How is the awareness of what we are doing?
Yeah, the awareness is great. So as I said, for me personally, it was a great experience to just sit in a talk and listen and have no pressure, can have the ability to talk with a lot of people and discuss stuff. And if you have a talk, then actually you're pretty occupied, even before it, after it. So it was nice to just sit there and see, for example, Benson from AK Africa talking about our project in Africa. And so it was really great. And the awareness of Etherisc is really great. Everybody knows it. Yeah. So I talked with a lot of people, also old friends from the earlier conferences, and they all recognize very well what we are doing. On the other side, of course, DEF CON is a largely technical oriented conference, circling around merge and scaling stuff. And also one big topic was zero knowledge proofs for many applications and self-sovereign identity. This is all stuff what we need, but it's not, and actually I think it's the only thing what I'm a bit missing at DEF CON. If you run around, then you actually see no or very little applications. Yeah, so you see a lot of basic stuff, so it's basically in comparison, it's nuclear physics. But what you are missing is simple bicycles and stuff which is running on these physics. Yeah, and so it's very high tech. It's very also fundamental stuff, but very little applications. Yeah, and so actually we are a bit exotic on this conference because we are one of the very few real-world applications, and everybody acknowledged this and said, yeah, it's great to have you because you are one of the few cases which have already traction in real world with people who have no knowledge on blockchain, and this is the future. Yeah, so as I said at the beginning, one of the big topics was how to scale Ethereum to the next billion users. But the next billion users will not be blockchain nerds. Yeah, the next billion users will be people like your friends, which have no idea of blockchain, how it works. They would just want to use it. Yeah, like internet. Yeah, you don't need to understand internet. You just use it, and usability is a huge obstacle also. Yeah, so the simplest wallet is difficult to use, and also a big issue is security. Actually, currently you have two choices. Either you understand how to operate a private key, which is technically somehow challenging, and for example, to keep a private key secure and to have multiple copies, and what you do if you lose it, and so on. Yeah, so there is a high potential to lose money if you don't manage this. Yeah, and this is challenging. On the other side, if you want to get rid of this problem, you have currently only the solution to have a custodian. Yeah, so you need to trust somebody else, and this is then a centralized party, and you cannot do it yourself. So this needs to be solved. I think this is still one of the biggest problem of blockchain in general, that it's currently not user-friendly, and this limits the applications. And I think there are solutions, for example, what we have in Africa, where we are working with our partner CotaniPay. Our farmers in the field have no idea of blockchain, and they have no private keys. And of course, this is also somehow a custodial solution, because our partner Cotanipay keeps these private keys and keeps them in a safe place. But we are discussing already with Cotanipay solutions where the private key is actually no longer necessary, and still farmer can access their wallets.
Okay.
For example, because the basic transactions of a farmer are known beforehand. Yeah, he will sign a policy and he will transfer some premiums. So actually, we can prepare this transaction, and then you don't need the private key anymore. And the farmer just sends then this transaction which is prepared, and so there are some ideas how we can solve it, but of course a lot of research needs to be done before. And yeah, and I think this is a problem which many people have, and we can be proud that we have one solution which is already working with few thousand people in Africa.
Okay, so before we go to Africa, let's go back to the developers conference. I have one more question, and then we go to the next bracket. So when you are at the developers conference and you mentioned it is very technical and very focused on coding and developing. So when you go there as Christoph, not Christoph from Etherisc, but just Christoph, the private person, what panel would you attend that really satisfies your programming side? What did you really enjoy, to get your head clear a little bit and just to do what you really love to do there? What was the most exciting panel?
Yeah, I think, of course, I loved all the talks about scaling Ethereum, which address these problems of data availability and computation power of Ethereum. On the other side, we had a lot of talks around this exact problem, scaling to the next billion users. And for example, Benson was also on these panels and was discussing this topic with other. There are a few very interesting projects. For example, in India, there is also a microloan application working on Ethereum, which is also part of the Ethereum Foundation's fellowship program. And so we are already discussing how we can connect these programs. Yeah, if you have microcredit loans, then you also need insurance, yeah, for these people. And so I think also one topic is, for example, carbon credits. Yeah, it's a huge topic, and also we are working on with other projects to make insurance available for people who produce carbon credits, and it's like producing some type of crop. Yeah, so in the same way as we can insure a crop, we can also insure the production of carbon credits. And so this is a big hyped topic, and there are several talks on this.
Yeah,
also.
You told me about the big hype around carbon credits and how this could be the future for leveraging this for many projects in developing countries, especially not exclusively. So, but this is another hour-filling talk. So let's go to the next bracket. That would be Africa and how Etherisc is engaged in Africa. So there's, for once, Acre Africa. You mentioned Benson. Also, we are engaged with the LCCC. Even more, I think Acre Africa is partnered up with us, whereas with the LCCC, we're deeply engaged with them. So we provided mostly the technical infrastructure for making this happen and making this possible. I think we reached a huge milestone with onboarding the first farmers, ensuring their crop, their maize, on the Avalanche mainnet. I think this is outstanding. Where are we at the moment? So can you give us an oversight about the LCCC, like the Lemon Carbon Climate Coalition? Can you give us a little recap? Where were problems? Where did we struggle? How did we finally overcome these problems? And where are we now?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big topic. I can say currently we are live with the crop insurance with our product for the Lemonade Crypto Climate Coalition. And the field agents, these are people who support people with onboarding, are in the field, and on a daily basis they are helping people to sign their policies and pay their premiums. And the current pilot is on about 260 farmers. And the next step will be 10K farmers for this running season. But first we want to make some or gather some experience with the 260. And it's working perfectly. There are some problems which are really not related to our tech, but related to for example, the communication with the farmer. In Africa, text messages, SMS, are the main communication medium, and so what we experience with email or on messengers, they experience with SMS, it's spammed. Yeah, so you get a lot of messages every day, and so the telco providers have created a blocking feature, so people can block messages from unknown senders, and so many people have activated this blocking service, and so they don't receive our messages. And then we see a message failed, and then we see the farmer did not receive the notification. And then the field agents needs to instruct the farmer how to switch off this blocking service for our address from our partner Pula. And so it's a bit work to do, but as soon as this is deactivated and the farmer receives a message, then the flow is completely automated and working. And yeah, that's so actually this was a hard way, because we had a lot of problems to solve, and usability is key here. Yeah, it needs to be super simple. For example, in the first run with I think 30 farmers, we had the problem that the farmer need to re-register with all his personal details in our system. So this was difficult for some farmers, so we switched it off. Farmers are already registered with with our partner, and so they don't need to type it in again. So, but this needed some technical modifications to create something like a bypass of the verification and so on. So a lot of problems with the usability. From the smart contract side, actually, we had no issues. Yeah, it worked from the beginning, and we made no changes. We had no problems. It's just working like a charm. And so I think, and it's also justified that we put most of our energy in the usability and making stuff available. And I think that I mentioned it before, also for Ethereum in general, this will be the key question, if Ethereum will solve the usability problem. And I think we at the bleeding edge of this to solve this problem. And so I think our experience can also help others to improve the onboarding process and make Ethereum more available for people who have no technical knowledge.
Understand. Can you give us a little and short oversight how one can imagine? Can you map out how all the different parties who are a part of the LCCC, how they came together and how it was possible? I think Ray Confino was leading this, how he managed to bring all these people under one roof and make them work together. How does this look like?
Yeah, it's the Lemonade Crypto Climate Coalition has a lot of partners, starting from Lemonade, Etherisc, Pula. Pula is a local distribution partner in Africa, so they are actually the designer of the actuarial model. Then we have Deostech, who were the first to build sample contracts. Then we have Hannover Re, one of the largest reinsurers of the world, who provides or will in future provide capacity for this product, which is also a challenge. I can maybe later on dive a bit more into this topic.
We'll go to that later.
Then we have Tomorrow.io, a large satellite data aggregator from Israel, and so a lot of participants, and of course Chainlink, yeah, not to forget. In the current project, we only had a few of these partners really active. So, of course, Roy Confino of Lemonade was the coordinator of all activities, and the Etherisc provided the whole technical platform, including the whole system for farmer onboarding, so also the off-chain components. Then we had Pula for the actual actuarial model and the pricing and the insurance product, so to say, and also, of course, the distribution channel. And last but not least, Chainlink provides, of course, the Oracle infrastructure. So at the end of the season, we will call via Chainlink the Oracle, which will then deliver the so-called yield index. And the yield index is a number which represents the success of a farmer on his field, and how much did he earn on his field. And if this number is below the average of the last years, then he will receive a payout. So it's actually pretty simple. You take the average of the last years, and if the current year is below, then you receive a payout, and which compensates for the difference. And of course, the larger the difference is, the more payout you get. And so it's like a linear line. Can you hear me again? Somehow I get.
So the quality of your micros back. I think we have to interrupt again, and I will restart the stream. So everybody give us 30 seconds. Christoph, 1 second. This is. So you're still a bit quiet.
Hello, can you hear me?
Wait 1 second. I remove you again from the stream. Okay, can you fix it?
Can you hear me?
Ah, you're very quiet. Wait a second. So. Alrighty, it's me. So give us 1 second. We will be back up in 1 moment.